Not right now. And one thing about Karen Quirk, she's up early. I'm like, well, I don't know if I can message her this early. And there she was. Like,
Uh,
yay. Okay. Well, the meeting's now being, one thing about Karen Quirk, she's up early. I'm like, well, I don't know if I. Okay, so again, we're not perfect. So now when I live stream, all of a sudden it starts playing back what I just said. So I should always mute before I live stream. That's a lesson for any of you guys. All right, so we're here today on a Thursday and it's May 2nd already. How did it get to be May 2nd? Like what just happened? So we've ended April with a bang. I mean, April flew by. We had the big launch of Luminate. We had the leadership conference. We had a lot of orders, a lot of new team. We have the new team $10 thing still continuing. Yay. And the box that they can get once they get to Partner Plus. Trying to remember all the incentives. We now have the incentive where if you help 2 people get to Partner Plus, then you get extra money. Like the first month you do it, and you guys can correct me, I think it's $100. If you do it 2 months in a row, you get $200, but it doesn't even have to be 2 months in a row. It's just the second month in these 4 months leading up to conference in Phoenix. So just so you know, our business goes conference to conference. So everything the company does, you might wonder, well, what about that last thing they did till March? They go like starting off again, April to now September. Okay. So, and they're continuing things that work, like the $10 sign up for a new partner. I mean, you don't want to lead with that, but it's a nice gift for people that they can, oh, by the way, it's only $10, you know? So I love that.
Now in May as well?
Yes, May. And then I think it might be like for 4 months. Somebody
Okay.
correct me.
I guess they're gonna
I
finish the
thought they
year
said
out.
through August.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they're gonna go to August. We're gonna be in September in Phoenix. So that's awesome. We have to take advantage of that. And I have seen an increase in team members. And just think about it. Our company wants us to inspire healthy living around the world. So they want an army out there because we all know like 700 people. I can't affect the people you can affect. So we all have to do our job in doing that. But if we're only worried about customers and those people are not sharing, we need to get team. Team is who's going to share in the broader scope. And I think we have made a difference in people's health, right? So why not really embrace that mission and tell them, hey, I can't touch the people you can touch, your mom, your sister, your brother, your cousin, you know, all these people that you have access to or you have influence on, or you're a resource for them. You learn. You don't have to know everything. We're here to support you and introduce the business, you know? And then we have so many gifts for them after the fact. So anyway, there are 4 events today, Lunch and Learn, which is today and Monday, every week, Monday, Thursday, every week. Then we have burrito in a bowl, was it? I don't know. In a jar. I put that flyer out. That's at 4, I believe. Then we have 2 things at 8. So you have to make a choice, or you just, if you took 1 hour today to blitz to the Wendy Campbell, the Wow is in the Why, or the business one with Sue Burdick and her son Levi, who helps her with the business, you could have a lot going on between those 2 Zooms at 8. Okay. So, and then for like customer care, you could send out the burrito bowl thing. You know, blitz as many people as you can. Just say, hey, I don't know if this is of interest to you, or send all the flyers, the 3 flyers, and say, hey, this is what we got going on. Pick one. You know, our community is very active and we're helping people. We want to help your people in your community. Okay. So anyway, I'm excited to learn more about Karen Quirk along with you. I met her at Indiana. We ran into each other and she was just so friendly. She told me she's from Chicago. She's on Guy DeBeau's team, maybe like the first team member of Guy DeBeau, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Guy
That's
DeBeau.
still around anyway.
What was that?
That's still around anyway. Some people come and go, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And Guy DeBeau, the night before I had met her, was up on the stage at Wendy Campbell's NMD dinner, like just so many times. And so he is so actively in the business. He's a male who's in the business full time, doing amazing things and, all over the world. And to meet somebody who was his first, we're going to learn a lot from her. And I love the topics that she chose, which are developing authentic relationships so that you don't feel salesy, and also how to build teams. So I'm excited to hear your story, Karen, and I'm sure everybody else is too. And just so you know, we're live on YouTube, and we'll hopefully restream that into our team group. It doesn't work the other way anymore. And everybody's welcoming you. Janie Hawkins definitely knows you from Chicago Fest and everything.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Janie.
Right. Okay, go ahead. Take it away for just, your story, or as much as you want to share. Then you guys put questions into the chat. And I forgot to ask you guys what you're excited about, but I'm sure you're excited to hear from Karen too. All right, go ahead, Karen.
Sure. Well, thank you, first of all, Sharon, for having me on. It's always a pleasure to meet new people too. And, I feel like we all contribute to each other. And now I want to have Sharon come in and talk to my team and partners too. And so it's all about sharing what we can. And don't, claim to be any expert or anything like that, but just sometimes experience over time helps, just you don't realize how much you retain. You can help people as you move along, whether you're new, or even have been in for a long time like I have. So I'm happy to be here and nice to meet you. So 28 years ago now, I met Guy Debeau on a commercial shoot. So my kids and I were doing some acting and modeling at the time. And it was like a 3-day shoot. And so there's Guy, young Guy, like early 30s, and he's got his brochures spread out on the table. There's like a lunchroom where you hang out while we're setting up and things like that. And we got to talking, and I, of course, asked him what that was. And he said, "Oh, it's just fruits and vegetables in a capsule, and it has live enzymes in it, And I'm like, wow, I know what that is. So my daughter, Lisa, had cystic fibrosis. And when I met Guy, she wasn't thriving at all. She was really struggling. She was about 13 years old at that time. So with CF, there's a lot of sticky mucus in the body, and it clogs the pancreas so you can't digest food. And it also clogs the lungs and other organs. It can damage the lungs and scars the lungs, which is why the lifespan is very short. It's getting a little bit better, but it's still not good. So I'm thinking this makes sense. She's already taking enzymes, but brought it home to my husband, and he's like, "Try it, let's try it." And we did. And within days, she started having color. She had the chewables, and she started getting color back in her skin. She was very ashen, very underweight because she couldn't digest food. And just after a few days and then after a few weeks, she actually gained 8 pounds. So people say, "Oh, I don't want to gain weight," but no, it's not that. Some people struggle. Whatever your body needs, the more you can feed it well, the better it'll do. So we started seeing amazing changes in her and her quality of life, less infections, less time in the hospital for IV antibiotics, things like that. And it's interesting. I'm just going to bring today back in. This morning, I was checking my email, and I get Dr. Mercola's email. I don't agree with everything he says, but it said sticky mucus on there, 10 things to relieve sticky mucus. I'm like, oh my gosh, So I clicked on it. I didn't want to read it because I didn't want to think about, I guess, my story, but I had asked God the night before, because I was like, well, help me. Usually I ask this before something I do, please let me say the right words and that the people will get. And, and I wasn't really coming up with anything, and, just sharing with Sharon this morning, and I knew what I was going to talk about, but now, so I read this, and there's a video with this little girl, Claire, and she also had cystic fibrosis. So I'll weave that into the story. So anyway, Lisa does pretty well. The only thing that would even cure CF is a double lung transplant. So the years went on, she was having more quality of life. So breathing, everything, her lung function, things like that. But still, she was still having issues with infections and things like that, and scarring. But her being able to absorb nutrients, the Juice Plus is predigested. So we only had one study at the time when she started, and that was the bioavailability study. So I was curious, well, why is this working for her when they've got her on these feeding tubes and feeding her like Ensure, it's like that, but even more calories, and encouraging more calories like McDonald's and shakes and all these things that really aren't healthy, but they connect, gaining weight with calories. So what I went back to school, started learning more about nutrition. So what happened is her body was absorbing the nutrients without her having to digest the foods. So it was, to me, a miracle. And of course, I wanted to tell everybody about it, and I started doing that. But the medical system still, and Dr. Mercola, I was kind of disappointed because it's still just recommending isolated vitamins. There's other things that they recommend. He recommended sunshine and things like that. But I remember trying to get through to some of the doctors and, like, I think this is what's doing it, and some were like, okay, great. So we ended up changing her formula for her feeding tube to the complete. So the complete is the calories, the proteins, the fats, whereas the micronutrition is in the Juice Plus capsules. And so when we changed that formula too, she gained a little more weight. Now, the Vineyard blend wasn't around either until she was 19. She was 19 at the time, so we started her on that. And her lung function went up. It was getting close to where they were going to recommend transplants. So you have to be under 30%. So she was hovering at that 30%. We put her on the Vineyard and it went up to 40%, her lung function. So now we have the pulmonary studies, we have the, bioavailability studies, the immune system studies. So all these things now we can look back and it's just like, wow, we got to go shout this out to people, right? I mean, not everybody's ready to hear it. That's unfortunate, but we should never feel bad about like, oh, I don't want to be pushy and those kind of things, because it made an impact on her and several other people throughout my life, obviously. And I know all of you have stories like that too. So, we tend to say, oh, well, I'll wait, or I won't contact this person because they might think I'm trying to make money. All that stuff, just forget about it. It's not worth it. And you're going to have times when you're not going to want to do it, though. You're going to feel rejected and things like that. But then just to remind yourself that it's about them, right? And it means, putting yourself out there. It takes courage to do that, but it's so worth it when you get somebody that so appreciates. I so appreciate Guy so much to this day. If, he didn't tell me about it, then I would never know, right? So it's just weird that this video came up, and of course then I'm crying this morning trying to put my makeup on and all that. I'm like, oh, great. So this little girl was the message, though. She was saying, I'm dying, basically, I don't know how much time I have to live and all that, but she didn't want to be the sick child that everybody feels sorry for. So she started going out and talking about making your life worthwhile now, like do something with your life, no matter what age you are, or, how sick you are, or how much time you have. We don't know. We really don't know. But she knew because of her disease, it could be sooner than later. So my cousin had these bracelets made up, Live Your Dash, in honor of my daughter. So she did pass away, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm getting the story in pieces here, but she had her double lung transplant when she was about 20 years old. And then she did really well for a year and a half. And then the rejection set in. And they even said her lungs were terrible, but the rest of her body was so healthy. It was such a shame, that those lungs didn't work. But sometimes that happens, and they were a little too big for her size and things like that. But we needed them when we needed them. And then this little girl, Claire, was talking about her story. And unfortunately, she did have her transplant, but she passed away. She had a stroke while they were doing surgery. And she was, I forget how old she was, a teenager, I think, something like maybe around 20. But it turns out that the day she died was September 2nd, like my daughter did in 2005, except she died in 2018 on the same day, 13 years later. And my daughter's birthday was the 13th. So I'm just thinking that God, I said, he gave me what, somehow he's given me what to say to you guys, because we could talk all day long about, techniques and tactics and things like that, but in the end, you just have to really care about people, and you don't know what they're going through. So you do have to kind of have the courage to ask, and maybe not all at once, it takes a longer time to do that. So my business grew slower because of that. Plus I had, caretaking duties and things like that. But but it doesn't matter. It's like what we're here for. And you wouldn't have been introduced to it either, probably, unless you were meant to do something, or you wouldn't even be on this call, because some people just are not ready. And even though we've been around 30 years. So um, does that, am I okay on the right track, Sharon, here? Because
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I ended up, I used to do medical transcription so I could be home with Lisa and my other kids. I have two other children that were younger. They don't have CF. And so that I was exhausted. My husband's a pilot. He was gone a lot. And so trying to take care of everything by myself. So this was a miracle that I was able to start making money from Juice Plus. And then I started building a team. And then I was able to stop working at all. So I finally could rest a little bit anyway. So we have flexibility, we have recurring income over time. And now I'm so excited more than ever because we have these incentives at the beginning and rewards that you can earn now as you build your long-term business with a customer base, and also a partner or team base. So,
Well, let's take a pause there. I
okay.
think you've said a lot and we've gotten to know you and know your heart right away, which is great. So don't you see that she probably comes across very heart oriented when she talks to people? And I think that that's really good. And I like the way you said, have the courage to really care and know what's going on in people's lives. I think that, sometimes you don't. And I know somebody asked me, how's things going yesterday? I'm like, well, what are you supposed to say? Great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so be the person that, after that says, no, really, how is everything going? What's going on? Or something, because you're going to find out a lot more because everybody's got something going on, right? And maybe you can help. I think that's good. And I think you had a lot of people who could relate about CF,
Oh,
cystic fibrosis in the chat. I think at least 3 people were touched by your story. So you're saying that Juice Plus helped a lot with the lung function, the fruits and veggies, and you were around when the berry came out later. Is that what you're
right.
saying?
Uh-huh.
So how much was the lung function in the beginning? Sorry, I've got the AI thing on. How much was the lung function with the fruits and vegetables compared to the berry?
Well, it's a gradual thing. So, it's progressive. The disease is progressive. So at the point where the vineyard came out, she was like 25, 30%. And she, but chances are she might not have even survived the surgery too. And then of course, after the lungs, at first it took a little while because she had been sedentary for so long. She had to learn how to walk, use her muscles again. Everything had atrophied, but she did really well, and was just so unfortunate that eventually those lungs didn't work. But
Hmm.
um, a lot of them do though, and it was one of the more experimental transplants. So, and you're exposed, the lungs are exposed readily to things from the outside and things like that. The other thing too, with the Juice Plus for transplants, because they won't let you eat any raw fruits and vegetables. You don't want to get any bacteria into the body. So they're really strict about that. But we were able to give her the Juice Plus because, it's all tested for bacteria and mold and things like that. So that's another.
I love that. I know I've had a heart transplant person have
Mhm.
Juice Plus. I don't know about you guys, what you guys have had also. So go ahead and ask questions of Karen, and then we could get more into the business and how she has gotten team and gotten to NMD. I think those are important for you guys with goals, and how she starts them up maybe. But let's find out more of your questions right now. You guys have some questions of Karen? Just unmute or raise your hand.
And one thing I'll mention too, while we wait, so there's a lot of vitamin deficiencies in kids with CF. And so she was always on all these vitamins, and they always tested for that. And she was deficient in almost
Oh,
everything. But when
Okay.
we did the Juice Plus, then those things corrected and very few deficiencies after about 6 months to a year.
Nalani, I know you know a lot about all this, so I'm glad you unmuted. You're gonna say something.
Actually, I had lost connection because long story. I'm outside because I don't have connection. So it just clicked back in. So I
Oh,
just
okay.
got back in. Sorry.
I
all
do
right.
have a question. So I run into enough people that have children that have MS or, you know what I mean, something. And I'm not a mom, I don't have that experience. And so I feel like maybe this is me putting it on me, right? I feel like they don't listen to me because who are you? Like I have a very difficult time talking to those people. I have one, like, and maybe this is part of the problem. She's a nurse. They have a little girl that's getting ready to turn 2. And she just, like, the husband's open, but she just shuts it down. And I just, like, I don't know if there's anything else I can say. I don't know if it's just, talking to the wrong people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that goes back to listening again, but maybe not even talking about Juice Plus right away. Just to get to know them really well first and ask how's the daughter or the 2-year-old doing and things like get to know them better. Sometimes
I
it
mean,
takes.
I've known them, our older kids grew up together. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
19. So I've known her for 15 years before she even had this. You know what I mean? So like I knew them, yeah, pretty well.
Well, there's resistance. So, you're going to get put against resistance by people, whether it's, it's network marketing or, direct sales and all that. Some people just will not listen, to that until, they realize what we do have. And sometimes, you just have to be patient. Sometimes you may never get through, but I would definitely keep trying. And like for instance, if we have something like last night, there was a talk with Mitra Ray and Jan Roberto that was so good and very clear, like it's foundational, it's pre-digested, it's only food, it's safe and it's tested, all those kinds of things. But you don't want to just throw that all up in the first conversation unless they're open to it. So that's the whole thing. You can tell, their just eyes will glaze over if they're not, ready to hear it yet. And maybe through the husband might be the way. He may be the one to eventually be the one to say, hey, it's only food, let's try it and see what happens. You could even do that, like we'll try for 4 months, give it the 4 months, and we know why the cells change over and things like that. So it's not instant overnight. Well, maybe the Luminate is, but so just
Might I
gently.
make, I'm sorry.
No, go
Yes,
ahead.
go ahead,
Uh,
Nalani.
but you said exactly what I was going to suggest. If the husband is open, then instead of going into more detail about it, just ask him if he would be open to having a conversation with one of the doctors.
Mhm.
Because it seems that the mother is really focused totally on what the doctors say. So, and if he's open, he could either have a conversation with one of the doctors or even be open to watching some of the videos um, that have stories with the doctors. That's the whole point. So that might be a way to get it done.
I agree. Yes. And sometimes it takes more than one doctor or one dietitian because sometimes their training is not on whole food, unfortunately, in treating or curing anything. So they don't tend to want to put themselves out there, but some do. They're like, yeah, it's great. It's okay, do it. Even if they're not involved with Juice Plus, sometimes you got to just find the right medical professional to take you through and talk to the parents saying, well, it's not going to hurt. Nutrition is, they know it does help now, but most medical professionals, but they don't understand the power that these pre-digested, plant powders are really actually having on helping the body itself heal. And it's not
The
just,
way, oh, I'm sorry. I like the way you talk about pre-digested. Do you use that in your language all the time with people?
yes,
I
yes.
think that's something we could pick up on for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of people have gut issues and things like that too. So it's gentler on all that. And if you do have bacteria problems, then it's maybe not going to absorb as well. So whatever you do eat, even if you don't have a major disease or anything like that, some people just need that good bacteria. And the complete has the prebiotics in it too to help feed the good bacteria. So the combination of it is so foundational. Yeah, I mean, I think
So
everybody should have it.
I know, I think we're all in agreement for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So you also mentioned that the shake is pre-digested and also has prebiotic to the probiotic and all that good stuff.
It's not all pre-digested. You do have to do some digestion with it, but it's easily absorbed though. Yeah.
Easily- Okay. I love that the glycemic index, is very stable and all that good stuff too.
Plus, you do have fiber with that, with the complete, which is nice too. You have
Yes.
need that. Mhm.
So also you guys, she went through the wellness forum, which is Dr. Pam Popper, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's a course for are you a healthcare professional? Because it sounded like it was for healthcare. Oh, I didn't do your bio.
That's
I'm
okay. I'm certified as a health educator, so, but I've taken many, many classes through there, and yeah, so, and she does have a what do I want to say, a college program too, where you can get a degree if you don't have one. So, but that's a separate institute for that. So I've taken many, many of those classes too. In addition, it's just so and so informative and makes sense because it fits so well with our plant powders and whole food. That's we really have to start there to help change people's health. We are at that point where people are sicker and sicker, and
So
we
that
need.
is one thing that you did do maybe as professional improvement or personal growth. Is that something you recommend to other people? Because I mean, for me, I've seen people do the Dr. Sears course, mostly the Dr. Sears course on our team. Some people already come with whatever they have, but do you recommend that for your teams to take like a little course or any of that? Or do you feel, I know this is kind of a loaded question, do you feel we already get so much education from these awesome forward-thinking doctors anyway that it's really not needed unless you want that particular certification?
Exactly. I do not recommend to go out and try and get all that done for you because you don't need it at all. And it almost is intimidating to some people if they think, they can't keep up with what you're saying and I could never do that. So that is a true thing. I was just so curious about everything and learning as the years, before all the research was out even, and trying to figure everything out on my own, and for my own confidence, but you really don't need it. And I don't recommend it to people. You can take the Dr. Sears course or something, or one or two courses here and there through Wellness Forum if you want, but short term, just to give you a little confidence maybe. But yeah, you don't have to, definitely don't have to.
So what did you do besides that? I'm just asking some questions because you guys should put some stuff in the chat. And then we're going to get to the business questions. Okay, good. Nalani's definitely ready for the business questions. Okay, but what was I going to say? Oh boy, I totally forgot because I read the chat.
You were talking about courses.
Yeah. What other, I was gonna say, how did you develop your confidence? Like I can tell you how I got to be, how my why became clear and also my confidence came. Because I think over time that builds and certain things help you to build your confidence. What do you think did it for you?
Definitely start with that why. And it in my case, it was really big. I wanted to save my daughter's life, that was the
Yeah.
biggest thing. But then after that, I could have and probably did, retreat a little bit just in grieving for a little bit. And like, wow, I still didn't save her life. But then from the other people I was sharing with, including my family, and, then some things were improving with them. They were getting off medications and things like that. So I got that part back, the passion back again, because I can see the impact that it had on real people. I could just see it faster in my daughter because of her particular disease. So it was kind of a quicker fix for her, the Juice Plus itself. So people
And
can't always feel as time goes on what your body's doing, good or bad.
right. but you used your pain and turned it into purpose, like they say, you know, because you're now, we could come to you and say, you're the expert in CF. Where I feel like people could call on me if they want to know about pregnancy or autism, you know, stuff like that, that I've experienced with Juice Plus or natural solutions, things like that. I think that anyone on our team, you all have your unique experiences that now you are an expert in that because you've gone through something. Right. So she's an expert in that, you know, she could talk to anybody or she could do three-way calls. Not saying that you're for sale to do that or whatever.
Oh, no, I'd love to. I always love to do that. So
Okay.
yeah, but I was going to talk about that too before I got off track. But so look back at your life and see where you were and what's gotten you to whatever you're at. You know, I had caretaking and things like that. And I still do the last few years, but you know, what is being put in your life that you can use, like Sharon says, towards purpose. Take that place that you are coming from, whether it's being a nurse or, you know, whatever it might be for you, but there's something that got you to today. And if you can find that kind of power in purpose, like Sharon said, that's where God's leading you probably, you know. And I believe that, you know, you have to kind of listen. I was going to tell the story. The Tower Gardens, right? We have the wonderful Tower Gardens. So I like to watch HGTV. I don't try to watch it too often. I don't like to watch that much TV, but so they had this wonderful girl teaching about gardens, and she's from Georgia. I think Karen's from Georgia, right? Atlanta, Georgia. And for 2 years, I keep writing her down every time I see her in my calendar to reach out about the Tower Gardens, you know, because she would love it. I knew it. And totally didn't do that. And then guess what? So Atlanta Farms, they called Atlantic Farms, you know, where you get the seedlings and things like that. So they are actually going to do an episode now on there. So God's throwing it out there. You got to grab it. I didn't grab it. He was telling me, call her, you know, do something. And so it's just a lesson, another lesson, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. That's a hard lesson for sure. Now it's gonna be right in front of you on TV.
Right. Right.
And we've had those experiences where somebody else shows up to an event under somebody else. And it's like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
we just didn't act quick enough. I like to say urgency is important in our business, not to stress anybody out, but to follow up in good timing, or just follow up even if you've forgotten them for 2 years. Do
Right.
it. You know, just do it sometime.
And that sense of completion too, the quicker you do it, it's like it gives you confidence the more quickly you complete something. So, and anything that you do, you know, just we tend to, otherwise we think about everything we've left, you know, we're always going to have stuff, but if you can complete some things, especially in our business, it will be helpful in moving you forward for sure.
I like that.
Yeah. And the other thing I try to do with talking to people or partners, trying to invite them, I first of all try to concentrate on maybe 3 to 5 at a time. And now sometimes you have to put them aside then after that for if they're not responding. But you know, if you concentrate on those people and care for them, you know, they're going to start to hopefully open up and listen if they're not doing that. Or, you know, you'll be sent the right one and you'll just know it, you'll feel it, and then you go with them and get them all set up. But there's always people, you know, to be talking to, but I like to don't overwhelm yourself maybe. And social media is a little different. I'm better one-on-one with people, I guess. And so social media is good for, you know, the masses, I guess, and finding people that are like-minded like you are. And then you'll attract those people that way.
So back to Nalani's question about how do you, let's see, how did she say it? How do you promote to build your team? Okay,
Right,
so
but before that, may I
go
just want
ahead.
to say,
Yes.
yeah, I just want to say that something that you said, Karen, was so powerful, and I hope it didn't go over our heads. And that is to whatever it is that is happening in your life and that you're passionate about. I know for me, we've been on social media, if we're talking about social media, and I say it's time to take the kid gloves off. It's time to speak your passion, and it's time to not be afraid to be who you are. We're still not going to say Juice Plus cures anything, However, we can tell our story with much more passion and much more often so that people get to hear it, because we beat around the bush a lot. So thank you for that encouragement to go ahead and be straightforward.
And sometimes
No.
that takes more than one conversation or one post,
Right.
but the idea is to even not post everything about Juice Plus or anything. You want
Right.
to just have different things out there. And when people start to like those, because they'll like the other stuff more, and then they're
Right.
following you, and then you respond to them, either privately or you want to go to those likes and loves and comments, because those are your people. Those are the ones that you want to talk to and pay attention to. Those are
Mhm.
your hottest, leads, I guess I want to say. But a lot of times we forget, and we're going after new customers, and that's good. But at the same time, don't forget about the customers you have already or had. And I know I've lost track of people too, and just life gets in the way, and it's like, oh crap, I haven't talked to them for 2 years, and then what do you do? So I'm going back to those people, write down some of those people, just have a list of people that were your customers, and start with like if they have fallen off, the newest ones that have fallen off, and then you can go back to the other ones too. But remembering those people are going to be your partners someday, probably, or some of them will. And we're missing out on a lot of sales that way. And it's not about the sales, but yes, we want them on Juice Plus, right? So that's going to impact them, but also help you financially too.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll come back to more about building team and all that. Let's see what Melissa's question is. Go ahead.
Hey, hi Karen. Thank you
Hi.
so much. I had a comment and then a question, if that's okay. So just talking about the passion and your purpose. And I think most people on here know my story, but I started Juice Plus for fertility, and we weren't able to have a baby. So like I always wanted to share that, and because the experience was so crappy that I wanted to help other women and I never knew how. And then my team closest to me really helped me work through that, because I was like, well, okay, Juice Plus didn't work. I didn't get pregnant. I knew that in my head, but everybody else didn't know that. So
Mhm.
it was really cool to work through that. And now it has become part of my story because we all know why. But that's just, I'm always kind of digging into that to try to see where I can help. But my question is, because I'm probably like you in the way that building a team is slow for me right now. Was there something you found that, and it may have just been your life at that moment, but was there something that changed for you that you started to build your team faster, more efficiently, or something like that?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story though, too, because I think a lot of people, if something goes wrong or somebody dies or something like that, even though they were on Juice Plus, I mean, it's food, right? I mean, it is, but it's such a supportive tool. And so it does kind of hold you back from maybe sharing. And we do have to get over that. So I'm glad you did, because um, people will understand that eventually, with the education that we can give them. So just like I said, have the courage to bring it up anyway. So your question, well, so I built slowly over time because of the situation. So we all have stuff going on. Some things happen more, condensed in one time of your life, and then maybe it changes. So yeah, I started just talking to people because I was so passionate about what I saw in my daughter, and then got to the point where I was qualifying my business, right? So that's huge. If you're not qualifying your business, you can find out from Sharon how to do that. And that was important for me because you get referrals from the company. And I gotten a couple of good team members, but still wasn't, enough to get to NMD or anything like that. And then I got one referral, and they used to call us back in the day. So here's your referral. And it was Dr. John Saran. Okay. If you don't know him, he's on my team, and he's from the Chicago area, brilliant doctor. And so I kept following up with him, and he got it. He got it. Jan, his wife, didn't want anything to do with it because she had enough with some of her health taking pills and things like that. So, so they ended up, well, I was his wellness coordinator for a while, so they weren't really partners yet. But then finally Jan came to hear a speaker, and at this little coffee shop, just a few people, and it was oh, I forgot her name now. She was a cancer survivor, and she was wonderful, and just her nutrition by
Marilyn
itself.
Joyce?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. It was Marilyn Joyce. She's still around today. I mean, it's amazing. They had given her like 3 months to live or something.
Wow.
So, yeah. So then we got Jan on board, and she's just a powerhouse in herself. So her team started to grow. And so then, as I was slowly building mine, theirs was growing fast. So she did pass me up. She got to NMD before I did, and that's okay. Because that can happen. And gosh, they just had, the passion and the people and things like that. So, so yeah, you really only need 5 sales coordinators, right, to become NMD. And that's why the company is trying to teach us, get those people to Partner Plus and get them getting an income, and get them to that top commission level. And then some will take off, some won't, but you never know who you're going to attract. You never know who's going to be put in your path and the good that they're going to do for the world, right? So
Okay.
don't give
Thank you.
up. Never give up.
Any more, do you want any help working through your story, Melissa, or anything? Or are you good? You're good. Okay. So I like that you mentioned that about the 5 sales coordinators to NMD. And I cannot believe you have Jan and Dr. Saran under you. That is amazing. And wasn't he even on Good Morning America for delivering a baby in the airplane?
That's right.
You've got some major superstars above you and below you. And wow. And so that means you have Lynn Page on your team
Yep.
as
That's their
NMD.
sister-in-law. Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Dr.
I
Tran's
didn't know
brother
that.
is married to Lynn Page.
Wow.
So
May I
Oh.
ask a follow-up question?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about building a building team with new people, and it's amazing when you hit, people who are able to go ahead and move forward. My question is, how do we cast vision? Wendy Campbell always says, cast vision, let them see where it is for them. And I'm finding that new people will sign on readily, and yet they don't get it, quote unquote. They don't see that can be the answer to their financial issues. So how do you cast vision for new people who aren't doctors, who aren't people who have a great following? How do you encourage and cast vision for them and help them to see that I can do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know that I'm the best at that either, but I think what I do is try and keep them connected to the education and not give up on anybody, like I said, if they're completely rejecting you, you might want to slow down with that person, but just to keep encouraging them just to take a look at this doctor or this article. Oh, I have a good reference if you don't know about it, is on Facebook under recordings. Dr. Candace Corson
One of my
has all kinds
favorites.
of talks, video, and you just search for whatever. Somebody has MS and somebody else has something else, or heart disease. You can search, or pregnancy, you can search in the search bar and find different things and just say, the shorter the better for the people. In my opinion, if it's less than 3 minutes is great, until they get more interested and want to hear more. I had a lady with Parkinson's. She's actually under another partner of mine. And she's just like, oh, my kids say it's, that's junk, and, it's a scam and things like that. So it was really hard for her to open up and listen, to what I wanted to share with her. And so I tried to be as gentle. We talked about her, quality of life and things like that. And because I have seen some improvements in things, not necessarily Parkinson's, but I encouraged her that it was food and safe. And so she started out slow. And now, she listens to Wendy Campbell. She's, became a partner, and, I don't know if she's going to, be a major player or anything like that, but that's okay. She's happy, and probably teaching her kids now, to open up and listen to her. But you just, in my opinion, it's just the starting small if they're not ready, and then opening up as they become more open to you and trusting you. I think that's what we need to build, is the trust, so that they don't think you're just out there selling something. Does that help? I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was talking about partners, not about prospects.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because these are partners who do sign up because they do have
Ah.
some hope and they have some dreams. And Wendy Campbell said, you know, when you get a partner, to cast vision for them and see, and yet they get started and something happens.
Yes, always something happens, right? Mostly something happens. So again, patience is the biggest thing, and patience with them, but at the same time, keep connecting them. Just say, hey, how's your week going? And, just checking to see how you're feeling, or what's, going on in their life. You probably already know something about them that you can talk about. And then oftentimes they'll bring up, like, oh, I meant to get on that call, and you can encourage them just to, that's okay. Life happens. Get on the next one, and then also just posting, when events are happening, knowing what they can tap into without feeling too much pressure. So they can do a little, as Wendy says, a little bit or a lot. It is their choice. It's their business, and don't feel guilty that you're not doing the right thing, because it's not you. It's their situation, and you're just there as the messenger, right? And then let go of that, let go of it.
I like that. And so when you share the business, let's talk about what you say in general. None of us have it like memorized, I don't think. But what do you like to say in general to people about the business? Why should they sign up? What do you say?
It depends, again, on the person. Well, like for Dr. John, that was a while ago. He's been around for a while. Just, I went to visit him a lot, and we started sharing articles together, so then I kept checking on him, and then he started referring people and things like that. So it was all the rage, like, oh, vitamins don't work back at 20 years ago. And then, so even now, you don't know where they're at. So you do have to ask a lot of questions, and it's just what it is. You do have to find out their problem, right? If they have one. And most people will have some kind of issue that either, well, with the partners, once they're a partner already, they obviously had an interest in the product. So then, find out what's going on in their life, maybe their kids are acting up or something's going on, and just offer your support and be there for them. But it's very organic for me, so it's hard to put into even
You're going
a,
by the person.
yes, very much so. But if there is going to be some problem, like they're afraid to talk to people, or they don't have time, all those things that you're going to hear. Nobody has enough time. And so, well, how can we make the time? What time do you have? And what can we do in that 15 minutes? Can you make a phone call to that friend you told me about? So that's, yeah, for me, it's more of a gentle, because if it was my personality, I'm sure I could pull off, being more aggressive and things like that. But I just know what I know, and I don't want them to miss out on that too, because it is a God's given gift, I believe. And then maybe it's money, maybe they do need that, and say, well, we do have, this going on right now. But you want to build it not just because of promotions like the $10, like Sharon was saying. Not it's not because it's only $10 that you want them. Those people aren't gonna, become impactful enough. You may want more. They might want more. So it's not so much that, and it's not so much about them making a lot of money. That's a nice side effect, but it's also about, like, what do you want to do? What's your legacy in the world? Things like that. You can actually talk about those hard things and bring them up,
Like that. What's your legacy in the world? That's awesome. And also I know you mentioned in the beginning recurring income, which you've realized from being in the business 27 years, right? That you've got customers probably from 27 years ago, team from 20 something years ago, and that just continues to pay,
Yeah.
So every day we have to make a decision whether we're gonna build that day and feed into 27 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, right? So what drives you to work on your business on a daily basis?
Gosh, I do love it actually. And I mean, I think you have to, really love it. Not that I don't get, believe me, rejection or people that just kind of fade away, even if, it just does happen no matter how much you pay attention to them. So to keep on top of that rejection and not let that get to you because it will, so I just love to get up in the morning and just, think about. Sometimes I write it down the night before, a few names that I'm thinking about, because if it comes to your head, in my opinion, then that's where I start and just reach out to those people. And I just like the feeling of seeing results that they get to. I think that keeps me in the game for sure.
Huh. And I
And
think she's been listening to Bob Heilig. Do you guys think so? Do you listen to Bob Heilig, Karen?
I do. In fact, I was going to see if you would allow me to say that, because he's got a
Of
program that
course.
just started yesterday, and he does talk about not being pushy and salesy and things like that. And it's going to be a great to hear him, what he has to say. But it's only $9. It's like 14 days, and he'll tell you how not to
You have
uh,
not.
how not to get that sales resistance. That's what we want to avoid.
Right.
Sales resistance, that wall that they put up. So I'm loving what he's starting to talk about. And you can even follow him on podcast and Instagram. He has a daily, I think it's 9 o'clock your time, 9 a.m. for about 15 minutes to half an hour. And he talks about all this stuff. And he's wonderful, but comes at it a different way for a really caring place. And Brandon Brazier, what's his name? Brandon
Barber.
Barber. He's
Yeah.
good too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got something going on this week or next. Also, the Yes
Yes.
Masterclass.
Mhm.
Okay, so do you have that link, Karen? Because I don't know where mine is, but I did sign up for that. I
Your
did.
virtualupline.com.
Okay, you guys could just go to your virtualupline.com, and you're not behind, Karen. You can catch up if you want to.
Oh, not yet. He did a free thing yesterday, so it just started yesterday. I think tomorrow's a session tomorrow, and he's going to keep it open the whole week for the $9. It's /transformed with an ED at the end, transformed.
Yeah, he's got a Facebook group that, well, I don't know how he's going to stream in there.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know. Yeah, so it's
How
nice
did you do it?
I don't
Okay.
think it is. I think that was just yesterday. Maybe that was YouTube. I don't know. But if you'll get the Zoom for the $9, you'll get the Zoom information by email.
He's very good. And I could hear it in Karen Quirk. I know we have two Karens on here right now. When she said, because he says that if they are liking or loving your post, even though maybe they don't comment, they're actually engaging with you. And it's like, that is a conversation nowadays, that you can say, hey, I saw you liked, or, whatever, like my post, just wanted to say hi. You don't have to say, do you want Juice Plus, but you could start a conversation because they did just engage with you. Melissa says I would recommend listening to it. Absolutely. So you already listened the first day, Melissa?
No, I happened to listen to one of his podcasts yesterday, and he mentioned the transform, and that's his big thing, being transformational, making relationships, because it's a lot. The podcast was titled, Is It Possible to Build a Team in 2024? You know how, some people really built their teams during COVID. So obviously seeing the difference now, but
Right.
everything is transformational. Like, you're not going to get a team member by being like, oh my God, you're going to be so great at this. This is going to be awesome. Like, what's in it for them? Like Karen said, with the $10, like, if you can cast a vision for them before they join for $10, sure. But like, if they're just like, oh, that's cheap, I'll do it. You could be like me and have your new partner quit 6 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You
happened.
learn a lot by those experiences, Melissa.
Right.
I've done this.
Whatever.
That's perfect
Okay.
explanation. Yeah, it's transformational versus transactional, which is the terms he used. which is
Keyword.
kind of like, in fact, I had thought about doing well, I've done every program probably out there, but Eric Worley for a while. And he's great. He's wonderful, big leader. And but he does this 20 and 30. So you recruit 20 people in 30 days. So, talking to Guy, I'm like, well, maybe I should do that now and really get revved up again. And then the very next day, Bob like, that doesn't work.
I saw that. I saw
You're
it.
like, hey, you want to join my team? You don't, yeah, people don't like that at all. So you
Right,
might
I
get
like the way you
you,
say
but
you could start off a few at a time. Like you could even say, hey, let's all Zoom together, let's all go out to lunch together or whatever. I like that idea. Because
Yeah.
I have some people sitting at partner right now that I'm like, oh my gosh, I've dropped the ball. So they need to,
You have to have the intention there has to be there. And then that helps you take action, but just, signing somebody up is not, you want to have the intention of them being happy as a partner and wanting to do, share it and impact.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I know these guys do. You guys can unmute and say whatever you want as we say goodbye.
Thanks so much, Karen. It was awesome. It's
Oh,
great
you're
to hear
welcome. Thank you. I hope it helps a little bit anyway, every little bit. You pick up what you pick up, right? So hopefully there was a shred of something there. Thank you. Thanks, Sharon, for having me on.
Well, thanks for being on. And you guys know some things that are happening tonight that you can just blitz. I would recommend an hour of blitzing today because there's some phenomenal events tonight, whether it's health or business. All right. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate you. Now we know you. We can say hi when we see you at conference in September. And if you guys think of any questions you want to ask her, I'm sure she's open to Voxer. We all
I
are.
am.
You
Mhm.
guys think that we're so busy, but truth is, this is a very
What
flexible.
we do. Yeah, it's happy to contribute.
Right. We like doing our business. So anyway, we're pretty open. Thank you so much.